My name is Shane Driscoll. I'm running for state rep, 38th district, second seat. So, thank you. So, I guess the purpose of this speech is to tell you a little bit about myself and I guess specifically why I'm running. So I think like most everyday average people, my number one motivation is my family. So I would like to introduce my wife and my daughter in the back and my grandson, Marshall. I believe he's the youngest libertarian in here at 2 weeks old. So, the second motivation, I mean, family's kind of obvious, but I think my second big motivation in this is that not just the people in this room, but people everywhere. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. When people talk about what they want in life and about who they are, I believe that what they're saying is the truth. I believe that at our core, right, we want to be left alone. I believe that at our core, we want freedom, we want liberty, we care about other people, we want to help other people, we want to be charitable, right? And we all have this passion. We don't see the solution as the same, but at our core, that's who we are. That's what Americans are. And I think that's probably my biggest motivation for running is the fact that at this stage of the game, when we look at the big picture, when we look at the society of America and what we're becoming, it doesn't represent us. I mean, what you see on the news, what we hear all the time on the radio, that's not who we are. And I think the Libertarian Party, and the reason that I'm getting involved, we have the opportunity, right, to heal, to bring us all together, and to bring us all together under American principles, like the original American principles, right? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So I'm excited about that, and I think the number one thing in that we need to focus on is the right to self-determination, right? I think that's really important. As I look around, whether it's in this room or again, right, on the news, on the radio, in the newspapers, whatever, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of angst, a lot of anxieties about what the future brings, and there's certainly a lot of anger, right? I think that's across the board. Again, I think that touches all people. But in this room right now, because we're here and we're talking, how many people are feeling optimistic, right? Yeah. I mean, how many people feel a sense of hope this morning? You know, it's like, this is incredible to me. I did. I don't know about a lot of you, but I felt like a man on an island for a long time. You know, and this is incredible, and it's exciting to me. So, I think at the core, right, philosophically speaking, I think what brings us all together and why this party, why this movement is going to grow, is because unlike the neoconservative or the neoliberal approach to government that we get from Republicans and Democrats, we do represent the American story. That's what we are, and I think that's my third and other big reason for running, is that at the end of the day, right, I want to be, this is selfish motivation, I want to be part of history. I want to be on the right side of history. I want to be able to, when Marshall, my grandson, right, is able to talk with me about this stuff, it'll be a few years, but we're going to have this conversation. I want him to be able to look at Grandpa and go, wow, I'm proud. He was on the right side of this, right? He did the right things, right? He did the hard things, but he did the right things. I want my daughter, my wife, everyone in here, right, to be able to look at me and go, that's a guy that cared, and that's a guy who did the right thing. So, this speech was supposed to be 3 to 5 minutes. I haven't timed it. I didn't practice it, clearly. So I will close with this, right? I think that one of the biggest struggles that we as libertarians have, right, is when we go out there and we talk about the things that we all know, we study, right? We're here because we understand what's wrong. But I think when you present that to people, and I'll give you an example, my mom, when I talk to my mom about it, she's a staunch Republican, right? When I talk to my mom about it, and I point out to her, Mom, this is wrong, Federal Reserve, number one thing, everybody knows in here, right? That's the number one. When you say Federal Reserve, right, people's faces just glaze over. Like, I don't know what it is. And then you explain to them, well, this is what it is, this is what it's doing, right? And they're supposed to, we want them to go, oh yeah, I get it, I'm awake now, I support the Libertarian Party. But for most people, what it does is it creates fear, right? Like, oh, this is too big, it's a conspiracy, I can't touch that, there's nothing I can do, it's too big for me, right? So So I'm going to make a pledge as a candidate going forward that while I think those things are important, and I think we need to get there, I think that we need to pay attention, and that I'm paying attention to the fact that we didn't just end up here. This is over 100 years in the making, right? Progressivism on the left and the right has brought us to this point. And my big fight is against progressivism. And I think that's the thing that needs to be addressed. And I think we need to be pragmatic about it. And I think we need to make sure we're not scaring people. We need to send the message out there without scaring anybody. And so here is my pledge as a candidate when I'm elected to serve my district. It's very simple. It's a one-for-one concept, right? I'm not going to stand up here and say, I'm going to go to Olympia and we're going to cut the budget and we're going to get spending under control. Nobody's doing that. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. We all know that, so let's be realistic about it. My pledge to you is this. I'm going to go to Olympia, and when my colleagues in Olympia say, hey, Shane, we need a new law, I'm going to say, great, one for one, right? You get your new law, let's get rid of an old law. Very simple concept. Government's not growing that way, right? We limit the growth, right? I don't even care if it's the same law on the same subject, right? You want a new law? Let's get rid of an old law. Hey, Shane, we need a new dollar. We need $1 spent over here. Fantastic. We're not going to tax for it. Let's just take it from somewhere else, right? If this thing is that important, let's go ahead and figure out what's not as important. Let's stay within our means. So, again, just to summarize, my name is Shane Driscoll, running for state rep, 38th district, seat 2. Thank you all very much for having me.